She looked at me like I'd tracked mud through a museum. I had 2 mugs of coffee in my hands and a simple ask. Can we talk? You've been distant. I don't get what changed. Lauren didn't even pause the show. Nothing changed. You just notice more when I stop managing you. Managing me? I set the mugs on the counter. We're married, not running a kennel. Then act like a partner, she tossed back. Not a project I have to correct all day. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have skipped the coffee and started packing. I kept it straight. Tell me what's off. We fix it together. She finally looked over. The stare was cold. I'm not your therapist. Figure yourself out. That was the first time it landed. She wasn't sad. She was superior. I still believed I could outwork it. I used to fix engine noise by listening harder. Turns out people don't tighten under a wrench. Okay, I said. Dinner tonight. No phones. We reset. She smirked without moving her eyes. Make it edible this time. I grilled salmon, lit the candles we got from her cousin at Christmas, set out the cloth napkins we never touch. The table looked like a catalog page pretending to be us. Lauren walked in from her home office, glanced at the plates, and made a face like I'd set out homework. Salmon again? You do know food has flavor, right? Eat the lemon, I told her. Big flavor. Cute. She's Saturday, you're trying too hard. It's needy. Trying is what you do when you care. Trying is what you do when you're behind. She took a bite and looked up as if grading a paper. Overcooked. I kept my tone flat. I'm carrying us right now and you're critiquing angle of grill marks. You're carrying? Don't flatter yourself. I manage this house. You tinker. Say that again? She put the fork down, suddenly energetic. You don't plan. You don't lead. I set the pace, and you either keep up or I correct you. I leaned back. You're correcting? Someone has to. She shrugged, almost bored. When I pull back, you drift. That's why I'm distant. To see if you can handle basic life without me steering. Like a stress test, I said. Exactly. And you're failing. I took my plate to the sink. Good talk. You're sulking. No, I said, rinsing the pan. I'm revising the plan. She pushed her chair back. Jason, don't get performative. Performative is setting a candlelight review to tell me I'm a student, I said softly. New plan starts now. She folded her arms. Which is? Boundaries. You don't respect my effort. You don't get the benefits of it. I'll handle my side of the street. You handle yours. And we stop pretending this is a team project until there's actual teamwork. Oh, please. You'll be back groveling in 2 days. Mark the calendar, I said and put the candles out with a wet napkin. You'll need the reminder. The next morning, I set rules and didn't ask permission. I left a note on the fridge. Budget split for the next 3 months. Joint card for shared bills only. Separate accounts for personal spending. Cooking schedule ends. Cook for yourself. Garage is mine after 6. Good luck with the showings for your listings. She found me lacing my boots by the door. What is this? Adulting, I replied. You don't announce rules. I do when I fund most of them. New terms. Effective immediately. Who gave you authority? Same person who gave you the idea you could grade me. I stood. If you want partnership, ask for it. If you want hierarchy, you're out of range. She scoffed. You're being dramatic. I'm being done, I said. Got a rush job at the shop. Be late. Of course, she said, mock sympathetic. Anything to avoid real conversation. I offered last night. I opened the door. You declined. At the shop, Nate, my lead tech and friend since forever, noticed the mood before I put my bag down. You look like you slept in a truck bed. Truck bed would have been friendlier. I tossed him the keys to a customer SUV. Swap the alternator, then we'll check the alignment. He whistled low. You and Lauren? Cold front. She decided she's my instructor. Nate grinned like a man smelling gossip. You? Taking notes. I withdrew from the class. He laughed. What's the move? Split the money, split the kitchen, split the calendar. Dang, you actually did it. Starting line. I'm done grading myself with her rubric. That night, I kept it dry. No dinner prep. No checking in. I hit the gym and then grabbed takeout. When I walked in, Lauren was at the table, scrolling. You didn't make dinner, she said, like it was a breach of code. Note, said the kitchen schedule ended. You actually meant that? I don't joke with logistics. So you're punishing me by making yourself worse. By feeding myself? I raised an eyebrow. You know what I mean. Say it clean, Lauren. Don't dance. She glanced past me at the door. Where were you? Gym. Picked up food. She stared at the bag. Grease again. Perfect. You don't get to complain about meals I eat without you. You're being petty. I'm being busy, I said, and sat on the couch with a plate. If you want to talk, talk. If you want to lecture, book a class somewhere else. She opened her mouth, then shut it. For once, silence served me. 2 days later, she tried the first soft detour. She came into the garage with a coffee, my order, which she never remembers, and set it by my tool chest. I overreacted, she said in a tone that wanted credit. I was stressed. Accepted, I said, checking torque specs, and I appreciate you taking on things. Things is a big category. I'm saying thank you, she snapped. Thank you accepted. I picked up the ratchet. We good? Her eyes narrowed. You won't even meet me halfway? Halfway to what? You call me a project. I pulled my time back. That's my halfway. So you're not cooking again? Not unless we're partners again. She smiled without humor. So conditions. Standards, I corrected. I'm leaving early Friday. Grill at Gary's. I told him I'd bring wings. I'm going without you. You told Gary before telling your wife. I told the person who invited me. I wiped my hands. He knows how invitations work. She stared at the coffee she'd brought, then slid it to my side as if gifting me an object would restore the script. Enjoy your wings. I will. Gary's place sits on a cul-de-sac where the kids ride bikes until porch lights blink. His wife, Elena, runs their backyard like a small airport. Everything lands on time. I got there with a tray of wings and a six-pack of sparkling water. Gary flipped burgers, Elena turned corn. The neighbors clustered around a folding table set with paper plates and opinions. Jason, Gary nodded toward the grill. Finally out from under the boss. Promotion to free contractor, I said, and handed him the tray. Elena eyed me. You solo? Yep. Everything okay at home? She's direct. It's why I like her. Redefining okay, I said. We're on the budget split phase of marriage. That sounds modern. It's accurate, I said. How's the deck? Don't distract me, she said, then lowered her voice. You eating? I'm fasting from lectures. You and me both, she laughed. Gary handed me a burger wrapped in foil. You look lighter. I stopped trying to win a prize I don't want. Meaning? She made it clear I'm a student. I graduated. Gary grunted. Proud of you. I didn't stay late. Early mornings beat late night mythologies. On the way home, I stopped at the hardware store for shelves. The garage needed dividing. I spent the next morning installing them, masking tape on the floor, my side, her side. Tools labeled. Laundry bins labeled. Minimal conversation. Lauren floated through, watched me measure twice and cut once, and snorted. Overcompensation. For what? Your ego being bruised. I'll take a bruised ego over a broken spine. So dramatic. She hovered. Are you going to the block meeting Thursday? Hoa. I smiled. You love those. Then attend. You always skip. I have a listing launch. I'm not your stand-in, I replied. You're my husband. Then respect me like one. Otherwise, write requests, not orders. She rolled her eyes and left. 10 minutes later, she came back with a garbage bag. Also, your side of the closet is a disaster. My side, I said, pointing to the tape line. She paused at the threshold, took in the tape, the bins, the shelves. You're serious. I usually am. She didn't cross the line. That evening, she tried the first nice. It looked like pasta with garlic and a salad with the good olives. The plates were set. She stood at the stove like we were co-hosts. I made dinner, she said brightly. It smells good, I answered. You're welcome. Thanks. I figured we could eat together. Reset. Sure, I said, and put 2 plates on the table. We ate. 5 minutes in, she went for it. So about Friday. Could you text me when you're on your way back next time? It's rude to come in late without notice. I chewed. I told you before I left. You told me you were leaving, not when you'd be back. You're refining rules on minute counters. Hard pass. She set her fork down with care. I'm trying here. I see it. And I see the invoice attached. She tilted her head. The what? The terms. Every bit of warmth carries an instruction. You want me at the HOA, in bed by 10, texting on the hour. You're inferring things I didn't say. I'm listening beyond the garnish, I said, and cleared my plate. Thanks for dinner. I've got emails. She watched me rinse the dish. You know, Jason, this tough act is cute. You'll burn out. The house runs on my standards. I'll be sure to send you the utility logins, I said, and went to the garage. That was my sanctuary now. Engines are honest about the noise they make. The next week became a schedule I liked. Work, train, hang with Gary or Nate, then home late. I didn't avoid her. I just stopped performing. She noticed. Funny how visible a man gets when he stops trying to earn. On Wednesday, I came home to find two women at our kitchen table, Lauren and Mia from across the street. Mia's early 30s, sharp bob, teacher's tone with a neighbor's warmth. They were mid-laugh when my key hit the lock. As soon as I stepped in, the air flipped from light to courtroom. You're late, Lauren snapped, standing like a prosecutor. Again. Hey, Jason. Mia stood too, palms open. We were just. Lauren cut her off. He doesn't need rescuing. Mia's eyebrows went up. I was saying hi, not staging an intervention. Lauren gestured at me like she was presenting a badly trained lab. If I don't keep him on track, he drifts. Life with him is work. I didn't answer yet. I was busy clocking the contempt. Mia did answer. Why are you so harsh to him? She asked, not angry, just puzzled. I only ever see you raise your voice or roll your eyes. What's going on with you two? Lauren sighed like a martyr. If you don't train him, he gets unmanageable. Living with him is awful, honestly. I opened my mouth, but Mia moved faster, smiling at me while still side-eyeing Lauren. I don't agree. I see him try all the time. She turned fully to me. How about dinner at my place? I was going to invite you anyway, but you weren't here. I ended up stuck with your energetic wife. Lauren stared at her as if she'd ordered dessert without asking. He's busy. I shrugged. I can eat. We crossed the street. I carried nothing but relief. Inside, Mia's house felt human. Books stacked, a plant that needed water, a dog bed with no dog. She pulled 2 plates from a cabinet and slid a casserole into the oven like she'd done it 100 times for herself, not for a show. Thanks for stepping in, I said. You didn't have to. She laughed. I didn't step in for you. I came to invite you to dinner. Then I got trapped with your charming critic. I earned hazard pay. I smiled, shook my head. What made you think I'd say yes? She poured water, handed me a glass. Because I've watched you try to hold a house together by yourself. And because I like the way you carry yourself when no one claps. A lot of men posture. You work. Is this flirting? It's observation. She shrugged. And yeah, interest. I'm not shy. I like men who show up for people. You do. I'm married. I noticed the ring, she said, still easy. So we can call it curiosity. Or dinner with a neighbor. I hesitated. I'm not going to cross any lines. That's exactly why I invited you, she said, smiling. So how about this? Tomorrow, restaurant as friends. No fog. I nodded. I can do friends. Good. Because the alternative is me leaving lasagna on your porch like a stray cat. We ate and talked like normal adults who didn't need a winner and loser every 5 minutes. She asked about the shop. I asked about her classroom. We joked about the HOA newsletters. I kept it clean. When I thanked her and stood to leave, she walked me to the door and touched my forearm like a neighbor, not a promise. Back home, Lauren was on the couch, arms crossed, remote untouched. She didn't look at me. You were at Mia's. Yep. Classy. She invited me to dinner. I accepted. That's inappropriate. What part? Eating food? Talking like neighbors. You're married. So are you, I said. To a man you call unmanageable and awful. That was venting. No, that was a reveal. I believe you. She glared. You're pushing me. I'm refusing to be tugged. The next morning, I changed more than dinner plans. I went to the bank during lunch and opened a separate account in my name only. I moved my direct deposit. I set automatic transfers to the joint for house bills. I told the HR lady, Carla, who runs payroll like a general, that I needed the change effective immediately. You okay, Jay? She asked, checking boxes. This a safety thing or a boundary thing? Boundary. Then don't waver, she said, stamping a form. Wavering invites chaos. At work, I told Nate I was scheduling longer shifts for a while and moving my Saturday mornings to the shop. You hiding? He asked. Working, I said. Difference matters. That evening, I followed through and met Mia at a casual place downtown. Booth, water, 2 menus, clean conversation. She asked about my parents. I asked about her move from Ohio. We kept it deliberate. As friends, she reminded me once, teasing. As friends, I confirmed. We did it again on Tuesday. And Thursday. Most days I stopped by her place before going home. Sometimes we ate. Sometimes we talked on her porch while the neighborhood dimmed. I didn't sneak. I just stopped running my time through Lauren's approval queue. Back at the house, I was civil and brief. I slept in the guest room Friday through Sunday for early shifts, and then never went back. 2 weeks into the new routine, I made the quiet call. I called a mediator for the paperwork. No courtroom drama, no threats, just forms. I kept it private. No announcements. I was done talking my plans to someone who weaponized them. Lauren noticed the shift before she knew the reason. The contempt slid. Agitation took its place. She tried the second nice, this one louder. She made pot roast on a Tuesday, set the table, lit candles, even put on the playlist we used at our wedding. I came in smelling like engine grease and honesty. Dinner, she sang out, too cheerful. Thanks, I said carefully. She floated around me. I figured we could start over. I've been intense. True. I can be softer. Also true, I said. She took my plate and cut a piece for me like I was a toddler. I miss us. What us? I asked. The one where I jump for points. She swallowed, then tried another tack. You've been out a lot. People talk. It doesn't look good. People talk because they're bored. You're not even denying it. I'm denying I report to your rumor mill. You're with her. I'm with myself, I said. If I stop by Mia's, it's because she's kind and normal. That's not against the law. You love the attention. I enjoy not being graded for breathing. She went still, then softened again. I can stop the grading. Show me with respect, not cosmetics. She reached for my hand. No more sarcasm, I promise. Lauren, I said, you don't promise your way out of a pattern. You live different. She smiled like a salesperson closing a deal. Then help me. Guide me. I'm your husband, not your mentor. She pulled her hand back and the old tone slipped in by reflex. You're impossible. There she is, I said. She flinched, then straightened. I made dinner, she repeated, but it lost its shine. I see it. I answered, but I didn't pretend it fixed anything. After we ate, I grabbed my bag. I'm sleeping at Nate's tonight, I added casually. We're opening early. You didn't ask. I don't ask to use my time. I picked up my keys. Text me if the water heater acts up. Her nostrils flared. And if I say no? Then you like talking more than outcomes, I said and left. I didn't go to Nate's. I went across the street. Mia answered in socks and a smile. You look like you outran a storm, she said. Storm's still forming, I replied. What's for dinner? Leftover soup. Perfect. We ate on her porch steps. A neighbor waved. I waved back. The air felt clean because I wasn't hiding in it. By week 3 of new terms, Lauren switched from condescension to surveillance. She tried to guess when I was with Mia, then interrogated me without using the word. I didn't help her. I just lived. On a Sunday, I came home from the shop later than usual. The house was quiet in that suspicious way. Lauren was at the table with her laptop open, but the screen was dark. She'd been waiting. You need to stop, she said, without hello. Stop what? Going over there. No. Her jaw worked. No. You're married. For the record, I said, calm and slow, I haven't crossed the line. I won't. I'm not that guy. She laughed once, a bark. You think details save you? You're disrespecting me. You did that for months. I asked, I cooked, I planned. You called me a project and unmanageable and awful to live with. You mocked effort. You didn't want a partner. You wanted a subordinate who reads your mind and thanks you for the privilege. This is about me being honest that you needed structure. You call it structure. I call it control. And she, what? Shows you the door and you wag your tail. She sees a decent man, I said. She treats me like one. That's all. She's manipulating you. She invited me to dinner and asked for nothing. I stepped to the counter, put my keys down. I'm not ending it. Her eyes flashed. You better. I didn't flinch. I'm already processing the divorce. That stopped the room. She leaned forward, knuckles on the table. What? It's in motion, I said. I haven't told anyone else. Not even Mia. I didn't want theater. Just an end to a game I never agreed to play. You're kidding. I'm not. Her voice dropped. Undo it. No. Jason. No. I repeated. You can't treat someone like a trainee for months and then snap your fingers when they stop attending class. She lost the calm. You're throwing away a life we built. You threw away the respect it sits on. Her voice went high, the way it does when you realize the wheel isn't in your hands. I can change. I will. I'll be better. That's not how it works, I said. This ship doesn't turn because you got spooked. I'm done. She reached out like she could grab the words and put them back in my mouth. Please, stop seeing her. I'm asking. I'm telling you, I won't. I'm not violating any line. But I won't stop being treated right by someone who knows how. She cried. She yelled. She accused me of the usual sin that people accuse when their grip slips. I let it pass over me. When she ran out of volume, I answered. I'm moving out tonight, I said. Until the paperwork is final. I'll cover the house bills. You can have the car. You'll get half the savings. I'm not punishing you. I'm finishing this clean. She looked up, eyes red, voice small but calculating, as if grabbing one last lever. You're leaving for her. I'm leaving because I respect myself. She's not the cause. She's the proof I'm not crazy. Don't go, she whispered. I'll fix this. You had months while I tried, I said. I gave you dinners, talks, olive branches. You used them to polish your podium. I'm done. I took a bag I'd already packed. Not dramatic. Socks, jeans, a razor, a photo of my dad from the army I keep in my nightstand. I slid my wedding band into the top drawer. I didn't throw it. I didn't need a performance. At the door, I looked back. Lauren, I said, and kept my voice steady. I'm not your project. If you ever want a partner, you'll have to be one. With me, that window's closed. Don't walk out, she said. Do what you want with this, I answered. Doors open. I stepped out and crossed the street, the most honest walk I've taken in years. Mia opened before I knocked twice. What happened? I told her it's over, I said. I'm staying here until I find a place. If that's too messy, say so. She didn't blink. She hugged me quick, not to fix me, but to mark the moment. I'm glad you're choosing yourself, she said. And I'm glad you're here. I didn't tell you about the paperwork because I didn't want to use you as a shield. You don't owe me explanations, she said. You owe yourself peace. We were in her kitchen 10 minutes later when the front door rattled. Lauren. She stormed in before Mia could reach the handle all the way. I stood behind Mia, hands on the back of a chair, not hiding, not advancing. You ruined my marriage, Lauren fired immediately. Mia laughed, a short surprised sound. Your marriage? You spent months yelling at him like he was an employee. He tried. He bent. He cooked. He canceled nights out. He still got your contempt. I watched. You don't know our history, Lauren shot back. I know what I saw, Mia said calmly. I saw a man keep showing up. I saw a woman treat him like a misbehaving intern. When I invited him to dinner, you barely looked up. You acted like I'd taken out the trash. You didn't care until you lost control. You think you're better than me? Lauren hissed. No, Mia said. I think I recognize a good man when I see one. I think you wanted obedience and called it love. Lauren's face shifted at the word she wouldn't say aloud. I cut in before she tried to rebuild. Stop, I said to both of them, palms out. We're not turning this into a show. Lauren, you came here for a line from me? Here it is. I didn't cross any boundary while I wore that ring. I wasn't perfect, but I was straight. Now I'm done. You can have the car and half the savings. I'll cover the mortgage until this is settled. I'm sleeping here until I sign a lease. Don't come over again. Text if it's about the house. She stared past me at Mia. You win. It was never a game, Mia answered. He just stopped losing. Lauren's mouth worked, trying to find a better angle. None appeared. Mia opened the door wider. You have what you needed, Mia said. We're finished here. Lauren didn't move. Mia, I said, close it. Mia did. The door clicked and the world shrank to a small, safe room where the only sound was a clock and our breaths. I exhaled. That was a lot. Mia leaned against the counter and studied me. Are you okay being wanted, or do you need to catch up to that idea? Strange feeling, I admitted. Being argued over. She smiled. Get used to being chosen on purpose. We spent that week in a rhythm that looked like sanity. I woke early, worked hard, texted a picture of a dog to Mia at lunch because the shop's neighbor brings one, cooked for two some nights, washed dishes while she graded. I called my brother and told him I was done. He said he'd been waiting for me to say it for months. On Friday, I met Gary at the shop to swap out struts on his SUV. He watched me work and shook his head. "You're different," he said. "Not lighter like the barbecue. Clearer. Like you cut noise from a radio." I stopped auditioning for a role I already had. I said, "How's the neighborhood diplomacy?" Lauren came over to Mia's. It went as expected. He grinned without pleasure. "She throw plates." Words only. Door shut. End of chapter. "You staying with Mia long?" "Just till I sign a lease." He raised an eyebrow. "And after the papers?" "I'll ask her to make this official," I said simply. "But not because I need a rebound. Because she sees me straight." He clapped my shoulder once. "Proud of you." 2 weeks later, the paperwork finalized. I don't romanticize signatures. It was just ink and a date on a calendar. But I took that ring from the drawer, set it on the dresser, and walked out different. I took Lauren to lunch at a neutral place to hand over the spare car key and an envelope with account info. She arrived with a practiced, polite face. I kept mine real. "You get the car," I told her. "Savings split. I'll keep paying the mortgage for 3 months while you list or refinance. No drama." She looked at the envelope like it might explode. "You're not going to fight?" "Why?" I asked. "I'm content." She studied me. There was no apology coming. I'd stopped wanting one. "Do you hate me?" she asked finally. "No," I said. "I just don't belong to you." When I stood to leave, she tried one last time to anchor me to an old idea. "You'll miss me." "I already did," I said, and walked out into air that actually felt like mine. That night, I took Mia out somewhere quiet with good lighting and no pretense. We ordered simple food, laughed about a neighborhood email, and I told her what I wanted without wrapping it in a pitch. "I like you," I said. "I like who I am around you. I want to build something adult. No grading. Just standards." She didn't blink. "I'm in. Marry me," I added, because I'm a direct man and waiting to be clever wastes time. Her eyes widened. Then she smiled, not coy, decided. "Yes." I got us a small house not far from the shop, a place with a decent yard and a garage that made sense. We painted the spare room together one Saturday. She picked the color, I did the edges. I traded my old sedan for a used pickup with enough bed for lumber and enough comfort for long drives. Nate and I took on 2 more techs. The shop got a new lift. Carla brought donuts one Friday and told me I looked like a man who sleeps. On weekends, we hosted Gary and Elena on the porch. Elena brought her overly honest questions and Mia answered them with calm. I grilled without commentary. We played cards and argued about nothing that mattered. Every now and then I heard things about Lauren through the cul-de-sac grapevine. Her listings were slower. She lost a big client after a messy open house. She kept the car I gave her and parked it on her side of the now emptier driveway. I didn't gloat. I didn't text. I didn't send pictures of my porch at sunset. Life did its own math. People ask me what finally changed. It wasn't the neighbor, though having someone see you without a red pen in her hand doesn't hurt. It was me noticing that I'd been auditioning for a woman who only respected the chair, not the man sitting in it. If you're waiting for a grand final speech, there wasn't one. There was a last act, quiet and sharp. A man who used to over-explain stood in his own house and put his ring in a drawer and said a line that closed the book. When Mia and I moved into our place, I installed shelves the first weekend. I drew a tape line out of habit, then laughed and ripped it up. Then I handed her the roll. "Want your half?" I asked. She tore a small square and used it to label a box. Us. Good label. Months after the dust settled, Lauren texted once. It was a picture of a kitchen counter with 2 mugs and a single line. "I made coffee." I didn't reply. I don't reward late homework. Instead, I walked into our kitchen, poured 2 mugs, and carried one to Mia. She looked up from grading papers and took it with a small thanks that held no invoice. "That thing you say?" she asked, blowing on the surface. "What thing?" "About standards." I smiled. "They make the life." She clinked her mug against mine. "Then let's keep making it." So we do. No posturing. No grades. No door I have to knock on to come home. And if I ever forget how thin the line is between respect and control, I think of the night my neighbor looked across our table and said, "How about dinner at my place?" And my wife stared like it was nothing. That was the moment I learned my favorite lesson. Real love doesn't require a syllabus. It recognizes you when you walk in the door, late or early, and says, "Sit, eat. You're home."